Welcome to Erica's English. My name is Erica and today I'm going to demonstrate part 2, IELTS speaking topic, art. Turn on the subtitles for more understanding. Okay, so the cue card says, describe a piece of art that you like. Describe a piece of art that you like. You should say what the piece of art is, where and when you saw it, what it looks like and what it shows, and explain why you like this piece of art. Okay, today I'm going to describe this piece of art inspired by the famous Gustav Klimt portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. Okay, I'm going to describe it in two ways. The first time I describe it, I'm going to use pausing and speak slowly. This will give you a higher mark. If you want to see a video on how to pause and speak slowly and learn good pronunciation, see my video in the description. The second time I speak, I'm going to speak too fast. Some of you, when you do your IELTS exam, you think that it is best to speak as fast as you possibly can. This will not get you high marks. If the examiner can't understand what you are saying, you will not get high marks. If you do not emphasize the important words, you will not get high marks. It is best if your intonation is like natural English. Okay, 2 minutes starting from now. Well, my piece of art that I'm going to talk about is my fake portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer, the famous rich Jewish woman. The original was done by Klimt and I have the fake. I bought it in Bangkok in a shop which was full of artworks, obviously done for tourists and people who just love all the great works of art but don't have the money to pay for the originals. Well, the original would cost at least $100 million and I can only afford a couple of $100 when it comes to art, so I was very happy to buy my portrait, and I love it so much because it's very decorative. It's of a beautiful woman and I love the gold colour, and it's so ornate and it's so inventive with so many patterns in it, and it really shows the beauty of women, and I love artwork of women. And it reminds me of the time when I went to see the original in Neue Galerie in New York in Fifth Avenue. It's such a beautiful gallery, and the original was glorious in all of its gold. It's so beautiful. And of course there are many Klimts there, and I just love the time in America, and every time I look at my picture it reminds me of that fantastic time I had in America. Of course there is a film about the original Adele Bloch-Bauer portrait. I think it was actually stolen from the Nazis, so it's quite a story. It's a very rich, and there's actually a film about it too, so it's a very interesting artwork with an interesting history. Okay, so that was the two minutes. You might have noticed that I had natural pauses and some of my words were emphasized more than other words. This is very natural speech and it will get you a high mark in IELTS. Okay, now I'm going to speak again, but this time I'm going to speak very, very fast, and you'll see the difference. It will actually be very difficult for me as a native speaker to speak very fast. The piece of art that I would like to talk about is very gold, and it's very beautiful, and it's a piece from Klimt, and it's a portrait by Adele Bloch-Bauer, and it's very famous because there is a film about it, and also the original is in New York in Neue Galerie, which I saw when I lived in America, and it was a fantastic experience to go there and see the original, and I love the gold, and it's so decorative, and it's so good to have it in my house, and it's a a really beautiful portrait, and I love portraits of women, and I saw so many Klimts when I was in America, and it just reminds me of the time I was in America, and the picture is so lovely. It's got lots of decorative styles in it and lots of little triangles and circles, and it's just a really beautiful picture of a woman who is very ornate, and the colour is so good, and it goes with everything that I have in my house, and so it's just so fantastic. And it shows, it's like quite a big picture, and it's very large and rectangular, and it looks quite small in my house, and it's so good and so nice and lovely, and I love to paint myself, but I don't know how to paint very well, and it makes me feel so good when I see it, and it's so gold and lovely, and now I'm running out of things to say, so I don't know what else to say, and I've got 30 seconds left, and I don't know what else to say. I saw the original in Fifth Avenue in New York in the Neue Gallery when I went to New York, and it was a great time when I had it, which I had in New York, and so good, and we had such a nice time with my family there, and we saw lots of Klimts, and Klimt is my favourite artist, and I like him so much, and he's a very famous person. Yes. So you can see I would actually score much lower for pronunciation. Also, I was racing, and so I couldn't think of good thoughts, and so my talk was all over the place. I still kept to the subject, but I actually ran out of things to say 1.5 minutes in. So it wasn't optimal. It's actually better to speak slower and order your thoughts, have time to think of new ideas, and express yourself clearly with good vocabulary. You might have noticed that in the second speech my vocabulary was also not as good. So please speak slowly and emphasize the important words. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you learnt something about describing a piece of art, and I wish you all the best in your IELTS speaking test. Check out my other IELTS speaking videos on art. I did a part 1 and a part 3. Part 3 is coming out after this video. What is your favourite piece of art? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. That's it for now. Bye.